Week 7 of the season set the Pittsburgh Steelers' division hopes on hold after a shocking loss against the Cincinnati Bengals. The national media should be surprised by this outcome, but Steelers Nation shouldn't be. It had the perfect recipe for a Mike Tomlin disaster class, and that's exactly what happened. His complaints about facing Joe Flacco have recoiled and made him seem like a blabbering fool. Tomlin's figurehead of a defensive coordinator, Teryl Austin, did no favors in instructing his group in the right direction. Both he and Tomlin continued to make poor decisions each year that caused them to lose some of the games they should have won. This matchup against the Bengals provided multiple opportunities for the defense to redeem itself, but that didn't happen. Pittsburgh is allotting $163.1 million into their defensive unit in 2025 per over the cap. They have star players all around, and they fell flat on their faces. Pittsburgh played against a capable quarterback in Flacco, and Cincinnati has star receivers who ate them alive. You can blame Tomlin and Austin, who deserve it, but the players who routinely beg for money on defense failed to live up to the billing. Pittsburgh Steelers' pricey defense continues to fail under the Teryl Austin and Mike Tomlin duo. If you are paying the most money to a defensive unit in the NFL, they better live up to those contracts. Pittsburgh has seen strong performances from its defense this season, but the game in Cincinnati saw a troubling trend continue. They can't compete with competent quarterbacks, even if they are older players like Flacco, who are nearing the end of their careers. The secondary was the most egregious part of the defense for the Steelers against the Bengals. Jalen Ramsey looked like burnt toast, and the penalties skyrocketed against Joey Porter Jr., Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins of Cincinnati chewed them up and spit them out with ease. Pittsburgh's secondary had its worst game, and there might not be a solution on the team. TJ Watt carries the highest cap hit on the team this season, but he failed to make a meaningful impact in the game. The lack of snaps for Nick Herbig is coaching malpractice and falls on the feet of Austin and Tomlin. The Steelers couldn't stop the run, which is an indictment of Watt and Alex Highsmith. Their star edge rushers were rather quiet, which you can't have with their massive contracts that control their spending during the offseason. The defensive line was consistently overpowered throughout the game, which is especially concerning given that the Bengals have one of the weakest defensive lines in the NFL. Cam Hayward begged for extra money leading up to the season, but he appeared to have an off night. Beyond spending cap space in the trenches, Pittsburgh invested too many draft picks up front for them to be playing that poorly. Mike Tomlin faces another disheartening milestone. Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, has added a new chapter to his coaching narrative, albeit one that many fans would prefer to forget. After a recent loss, Tomlin is now linked to another record that highlights the struggles of the franchise. In the aftermath of the defeat, which marked a significant low for the Steelers, Tomlin's tenure is once again under scrutiny. Fans and analysts alike are reflecting on the implications of this new statistic, which serves as a stark reminder of the challenges the team has faced in recent seasons. The context of the record. This latest record is not just a footnote in Tomlin's career, it encapsulates a broader trend within the organization. Over the past few years, the Steelers have struggled to maintain their historic standard of success, leaving supporters disheartened. The weight of expectations that once buoyed the franchise now seems to press down heavily on its leadership. As Tomlin navigates this tumultuous period, questions arise about the direction of the team and his ability to steer it back to its winning ways. The fans, who have long supported the franchise through thick and thin, are left wondering if this latest setback is a sign of deeper issues within the organization. Looking ahead, with the season still unfolding, the Steelers have opportunities to change the narrative. However, the shadow of this recent record looms large. The road ahead will require not only strategic adjustments, but also a renewed commitment from all levels of the organization. As Tomlin continues to lead the team, the focus will remain on how he can rally his players and the fanbase to overcome this latest hurdle. The Steelers have a rich history, and the hope is that they can reclaim their status as a powerhouse in the league, beginning with addressing the shortcomings that have led to this disappointing milestone. Two guys who are a combined age of about 82 and have started a combined 450 NFL games put together a total of 7 touchdown passes, 64 points, and 591 passing yards on Thursday Night Football. And it was a thing of beauty, to be quite honest. Joe Flacco absolutely torched the Steelers secondary, to the point where I actually feel bad for Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter Jr. and company next week when they have to watch film of this game. Aaron Rodgers pretty much did whatever he wanted against the Bengals secondary as well, but he did throw 2 interceptions, one his fault, one just a great play by a Bengals defensive back that it could be argued were the difference in the game. As it turns out, you can still win football games by dropping back to pass, by having quarterbacks with high IQs and accurate arms, and by having them pick apart defenses because they understand what they're looking at and far more often than not make the right decisions with the ball. I get the whole mobility thing and the craze where everyone wanted to find one of these dual-threat guys and turn them into quarterbacks. I can say with certainty that the only time that has worked out is in Philadelphia, but Jalen Hurts is surrounded by an incredible offensive line and the best running back on the planet. The Eagles are a running team and are committed to letting Hurts be a huge part of the running game. They have had the perfect mix of talent and players to pull that off, but now it seems like the receivers on that team are ready to blow a gasket. The Eagles are the exception, mostly because they put together the best collection of players in the NFL, they play great defense, and Hurts can throw the ball just well enough that he can hurt you with big plays in the passing game. Prior to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last season, the championship teams were quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes 3 times, Tom Brady 4 times, Matthew Stafford, Nick Foles, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Ben Roethlisberger. You know what every one of those guys have in common? They are excellent pocket passers. Quarterbacks first, athletes second. Mahomes can scramble and run some. Wilson was mobile on some level. Rodgers and Roethlisberger were crafty and able to use their feet to get out of trouble. But those 4 were traditional NFL quarterbacks from the pocket who could stand in there and gut defenses with precision passing. I do truly understand the desire to find one of these running quarterbacks who is an incredible athlete, but time and time again, it has been proven you don't win that way at the highest level in the NFL. I get that many college programs run some version of the spread offense, and many incorporate a version of the read option stuff, so the overwhelming majority of the quarterback prospects play that way and are trained that way. But there is a reason the only quarterback that has got to the Super Bowl from the AFC recently not named Mahomes or Brady is not Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but rather is Joe Burrow. I think both Jackson and Allen have improved as passers, but neither is close to the passer that Joe Cool is. That works in college, but in the NFL it is hard to pull off, which is why it feels like the pendulum is swinging back toward the Drake Mays, Jackson Darts, Spencer Rattlers, and Bo Nixes of the world. The drop-back, traditional passer with enough mobility to make guys miss is becoming cool again, and that's tremendous because it will hopefully produce more games like Thursday night's 33-31 win by the Bengals over the Steelers. That brings me back to Flacco and Rodgers and Wyatt 40 and 41, closing in on 41 and 42. They are still employed and why the Steelers and Bengals will have a chance every single week. Flacco has given the Bengals life and gives them an opportunity to perhaps survive until Burrow gets back and they can make a playoff push. Mike Tomlin openly ripped the Browns for trading Flacco to the Bengals last week, and he was right. Flacco is so much better than the approximately 65 quarterbacks the Browns have employed this year, and that includes their current starter, Dylan Gabriel. I get it. The Browns are committed to a youth movement of sorts, but trading Flacco away to start a kid who is in way over his head was just silly. The Bengals' next few games, Jets, Bears, should give them an opportunity to get back to a winning record, and then they play the Steelers again. I would hope the Steelers would have a better defensive game plan to try and stop Flacco and company, but if they don't, the Bengals would suddenly be a real player in the AFC North race. I love the fact that Rodgers and Flacco showed the world that NFL football is still a game that requires quarterbacks who can throw from the pocket, make great decisions, get rid of the ball before the pass rush gets to them, and are accurate in their throws. I enjoyed this game more than most because of the play of both quarterbacks. We can debate how bad both defenses played, and that's probably a part of the story, too, but don't think for 1 minute that this would have been a similar game had it been Jake Browning against Mason Rudolph. Rodgers is providing the Steelers with the best quarterback play they have had since Roethlisberger pre-elbow surgery, and Flacco has breathed life into a team that was dead in the water. At some point, the Steelers will get around to trying to find their quarterback of the future, maybe as soon as next year's draft. Here is hoping that Tomlin, who has commented that he would prefer an athletic/dual-threat/running quarterback, has watched Rodgers and realized, like most other teams and coaches have recently, that a traditional pro-style passer is still the profile of the quarterback best suited to lead a team to the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh Steelers CB Joey Porter Jr. suffered an injury in the third quarter of the team's Week 7 game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Per the Prime broadcast, Porter was in the blue medical tent. The nature of his injury is unknown. Porter missed 3 games with a hamstring injury after getting hurt in Week 1 against the New York Jets. He returned last week against the Cleveland Browns. Against the Bengals, he's mostly been tasked with lining up against W.R.T. Higgins. With Porter out, the Steelers will have CB Brandon Echols replace him on the outside. Echols has had a solid season when he's played, which has been often due to various injuries in Pittsburgh's secondary. CB Darius Slay also briefly left the game due to an injury, but he returned after missing just a few snaps. Porter has been flagged twice for defensive pass interference tonight against Higgins, but he played well in his return last week and would be a big loss if he's out for the rest of this game. The Steelers have struggled to defend the Cincinnati passing attack, and losing one of their top corners would make things even harder for a reeling defense. This story will be updated as more information becomes available.